Hey there, Dr. Todd Cameron here, GP and co-founder at Scale My Clinic with Sachin Patel. I wanted to take a little bit of time just to talk to you about the 50K challenges that you see information about here in the SGPO group. The first thing I wanted to do though is just to answer the question that is really commonly asked. Sachin and I just came back from the Practice Owners Conference in Hobart and one commonly asked question is, what do you do? And so Sachin and I set up Scale My Clinic around 3 years ago now with the sole purpose of coaching and assisting privately held general practices and the owners of those to do three things really. We want them to get more profit out of their practices. We want them to have more time freedom, and in order to do those two things, you're going to need to have a dream team behind you. There's that African proverb: if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And the way we do that is through group coaching. That can be really hard for people to conceptualize, and that's one of the reasons we set up the 5 days to 50K challenge. And the question we often get asked is, well, what exactly is that? So essentially what we do is over the 5 days, it's a microcosm of ProjectX, which is our group coaching service for our members. And you can see that behind me there. And so over the 5 days, what we do is from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Melbourne, Sydney time, we work through some of the elements of where the opportunities have often been overlooked in your practice. And they're kind of some fairly obvious things around revenue, overheads, and some areas around organizational hygiene and health, just to make sure that your team know what they're doing and what kind of roles and responsibilities, etc. they have. So it's a really good detailed overview of the practice, and by the end of the 5 days, you've got a really good idea about not just the opportunity size, but whereabouts you need to go and look to go and act to get the money. Now, we've found some really serious amounts of money, and in most cases it works out around about $43,000 to $45,000 per full-time equivalent, and we have found up to $1.2 million worth of opportunity. And I'm talking about profit, so that is what sits in the service entity, not talking about GP revenue when we're talking about these figures. So really, really substantial amounts of money. Who needs to attend these? Well, some clinics have really large ownerships groups. 5, 6, 7, 8. I think the highest we've had is 9 or 10. We don't expect that all of those people would go, but you probably should have a couple of the owners along and often a practice manager. Anybody who attends that requires permission to make decisions, though, must make sure they've had conversations with the rest of the group to have some delegated authority to act. And you do need to show up. So, we say that the challenge is free and there is a $200 commitment deposit. The reason that's there is we need to make sure that you show up. We show up, and at any point in time, you can leave the challenge. You can ask for a refund for that $200 and it will be followed through. We know that most people aren't right to work with us. That is why it is free. We want to find out what you're like, and that is why we spend 5 hours over 5 days working through lots of different parts of the practice. And there's also a separate Facebook group that we put together just for that group, and that's crashed at the end of the challenge. Around about half of the people that are in the challenge that turn up every day end up deciding to work with ProjectX just so they can move more quickly, make less mistakes, and get to picking that money up that they've found. That's why we put that challenge together, and it's free because we want to make sure that we actually coach general practice owners into knowing where that money is. Look, we only exist to get general practice owners their lives back through the things we talked about earlier. More profit, more time freedom, and building out a dream team. Now, I want to ask you a question. I'm going to get you to respond below. Firstly, do you have any questions about what we do, or the challenges, why they exist, and how we run them? If you do, please post them below. The last question is, should we be changing the name of the 5-day thing that we do? So we currently call it a challenge. One of the things we had in mind was, should we be calling it a treasure hunt, or should it be something else? If you've got some thoughts, then share those below. Otherwise, thank you for your attention. Have a great day, and hopefully I'll get to see you in a challenge or whatever you rename it as. Bye.